Ralph. Morning, Sam.
Beautiful. Hey guys, welcome to Morning Sam, Morning Ralph, the podcast for restaurant technology professionals. This is episode, it could be 13, could be 14, could be 15, Chad. We're never sure. But Chad, today we have an awesome guest, and this is a guy you actually met in FS Tech, and we want to get into that story, but this is a guy that is absolutely the real deal when it comes to AI innovation and adoption. Like, he's actually done it. Right. He comes to us all the way from the other side of the world in New Zealand. And Chad, did you know that if you go to a Burger King drive-thru in New Zealand, not only will AI take your order, but it'll also do so with a Kiwi accent?
Isn't that crazy? Right. And it has a name, right? They've figured out that people will connect to it better if they personify it. So
that's why,
as Stephen will tell us, it's Patty. It's not AI. It's Patty.
It's Patty. Well, cool. Well, everybody, welcome to the show. Stephen Brown, the head of operations of excellence at Antares Restaurant Group, also known as Burger King New Zealand. It's great to have you, Stephen. Welcome,
Stephen. Woo.
Thank you. Hey guys, thank you very much for having me. Appreciate being on the show.
Yeah, and Paul mentioned that I met you at FS Tech, so a little bit of backstory on that for everybody. So they just opened up the show floor. Like, most people haven't even thought about coming in yet. And I'm trying to take advantage of every second. So I beeline it there. Steven's already there, hanging at the high auto booth with 1,000 times more energy and enthusiasm than anybody else. And he's talking up a storm with everybody. I'm listening first. And it's like, oh, I got to talk to this guy. He's wearing this cool retro Burger King shirt. It's like, oh man, he's dressed to the nines and talking about his love of this technology he's using. And as we'll talk about today, it's having a big impact. So Stephen, super cool meeting you at the show.
Yeah, it's good to catch up with you there, Chad, and be here today.
Well, let's get into the question, right? I'm sure people want to know, what is this thing you've done? So could you walk us through this big AI technology you've deployed at your stores and how it's going?
Yeah, for sure. So as you pointed out in the beginning there, we've personalised our AI team member so that from a customer perspective, also from a staffing perspective, there's more of a personal attribute. And we talk about Patty as our AI team member. So we actually include Patty on the staff schedule. And what that means is that Patty's the first one there in the morning, the last one there at night, and working with the team members all through the day. So from that perspective, when we first brought Patty into the business back in November 2023, we went through a process where we talked about it with our restaurant teams so that they could understand, what it is that we were doing, how it is that we were doing it, and then based on putting Patty into the business, it was then having that support from that on-the-ground support from High Auto, which helped us bring Patty into the business a lot quicker and solving problems as we went down the space, because AI was a new thing for us. It was a thing in the business that we thought, this is a tech space we want to get into. What are the opportunities that it could give us? What problems could it solve? That kind of thing. So in the early days, it was just, oh, here it is. Here's Patty. Yeah. And where do we go to from there?
Now, when you brought Patty to life, what was the reception from everybody? What was the general feeling around Patty? And was it, because this is different. This is different for everyone.
Totally. And for me, I was excited. I mean, I love innovation, and I look for the opportunities every day in my role here at in the business to simplify operations, get back to basics if we need to, be able to achieve that. But when it came to AI or voice AI order taking, it was a case of, wow, this is something very unique, something very special, and to also be leading the charge against some of the other QSRs here in New Zealand and even on the global stage, I felt was a very important position for us to take here in New Zealand. But when we brought Paddy into the business, team members, managers, the uptake, the acceptance was there from day one.
Yeah.
It was going through the drive-thru and listening to how customers were interacting with Paddy, how orders were being taken. It was like there was really no shift. There was no, people weren't going, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
Because it was conversational order taking. And from that perspective, customers,
Did customers actually, did you do a campaign? I'm really curious from a marketing perspective, how you were able to capitalize on this as being a new novel thing for Burger King, where this might actually attract customers. And with that being said, I understanding that Paddy is a female voice, right?
Well, Paddy identifies as he, she. So
Okay.
my voice is one of Paddy's voices.
So there are several voices. Now, do you
we've
try to
got two,
incorporate
yeah.
any sort of Burger King branding into that to make it more Burger King centric?
What? Not currently. What there's a couple of opportunities in that, and that's an awesome question. When we take a look at, we have Māori language is the language of the tangata whenua, or the people of the land here in New Zealand, and we have Māori Language Week. And this year we missed the opportunity, but next year what we're looking to do is that Paddy would actually greet our customers in Te Reo, which is, as I say, the native language here in New Zealand, and take orders in English, but the greeting would be covered in Te Reo. So not every New Zealander speaks Te Reo, so hence having to chop between the two. I know Paddy in the Miami market knows a couple of languages there, and will speak, I think it's Spanish is the second language there, as well as English.
Right.
Just meeting where the customer wants their order taken is from a language perspective.
Wow.
Stephen, let's take a step back for a second. I want to, everybody I think understands that we're talking about a drive-through AI, but let's break it down. As an operator, how do you think about what Paddy is holistically and its various attributes?
So I think one of the things to really bear in mind with Paddy is that if you treat it like a piece of equipment, then you're not going to maximize the gains. If you treat it like a digital menu board, you're not going to maximize the gains. The incredible thing about having Paddy in our business, which was a complete shock to me when going back and talking to team members around the way that Paddy was doing the business day in and day out, was the first thing they said to me was, the stress in our world has gone. And I'm thinking, really? It's like speed of service, upsell, all these other things that you would think would be top of mind for managers and team members, but it wasn't that at all. It was the wellness factor. And what it meant was that team members now looked forward to coming to work. And we've actually seen a decrease in staff turnover.
Wow.
In the sites that Paddy is actually in. And of course, there's other contributing factors as well, but the fact that they call out Paddy making their day a lot easier. So you're familiar with the POS order taking system. There's a lot of multitasking going on. There's a flurry of activity that goes on when taking a customer's order. And then if a customer gets abusive because they've had a bad day, not the team member's fault or the manager's fault, they've just had a bad day, but they will end up taking it out on the team member. Well, Paddy's that buffer between that conversation and the order taking process. So team members are not getting that abuse anymore. They've got their headset on. if Paddy needs some help with an order, they can quite easily intervene. However, the success rate that we have is between around 96%, where Paddy's taking the order. The other 4% or so is around an intervention that a team member may do. So very small percentage, but they're just feeling that chill factor come into their day, which was a really cool discovery.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting tidbit you got there, Stephen. So the employees themselves, the staff, it's taking something off of their plate that I guess you could say they never really enjoyed doing, right? And by virtue of that, that is making them perhaps stick around longer. It'd be when you get those stats, when you get those metrics out in terms of retention, and we would love to hear about that, because that's certainly in the States, of course, it's one of the largest problems we have is retention. I think there's a 70% turnover rate is generally the number that's quoted most often.
Yeah, so most definitely. And the point around wellness is becoming more and more of a factor in this day and age. And who would have thought that Paddy would have actually been a part of the wellness strategy in a business? Right. But to discover that outside of all the other excellent attributes that Paddy brings to the business was a really cool discovery. So
I have to imagine now. You mentioned it a little bit about order accuracy. Do you have any? Has there been any empirical evidence that Paddy is actually increasing order accuracy? Has there been any? Has customer sentiment gone up, or anything you can attribute?
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple of things in that around. So order accuracy from a order taking perspective, Paddy being on the tools and doing the work, that 91 to 96%. And I should actually point out that if restaurants do drop below the 90, I have an operations coach here in New Zealand who specialises in Paddy performance and also Paddy people performance. So those in the restaurants, I'll deploy her into the market for that particular restaurant for one-on-one coaching to troubleshoot and bring them back up again. It could be a very simple problem to solve, and she'll take care of that for me. So from that perspective, we've got a program to cater for order accuracy on that perspective. When it comes to the kitchen piece, the order is still packed by a manager or team member in the expediter position. The order that's recorded pops up on the screen. It's automatically injected as the order is taken at the speaker box. It's automatically injected into the kitchen. So the key thing here is that productivity in your kitchen has got to be really dialed in.
Yeah.
It has to be really dialed in. If you do not have that level of awareness where your shift manager is identifying bottlenecks, moving people around the kitchen like a chessboard to support product build and or expediting the product to the customer, you are going to be in a world of pain. And from Paddy's perspective, there's a couple of things. One is, picture, if you will, you're at the drive-thru, boom, 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 you rock on up to the speaker box, and you wait, and you wait. So 15, 20 seconds has gone in your drive-thru time already. Paddy, within 5 seconds, boom, hi, welcome to Burger King. What can I get you? And then the order taking process comes along. Right. And if a customer wants to say, hey, what's in this burger? Paddy will go, ding, this is what's in the burger. What's this value meal made up of? And Paddy will explain it. So Paddy will also repeat orders back as well. So at the order taking point, Paddy provides a lot of flexibility and time saving from a team member perspective as well, team member input perspective as well.
That's fantastic. And again, from a marketing standpoint, I'm just trying to think of the different ways in which a marketer can utilize this data and promotional opportunities. For example, if Burger King is running an LTO on a barbecue burger or something, is there an upsell component to Patty?
Oh, look, that's a really exciting subject, and I love it because we did a trial. We first started with a charity. We support a cancer charity over here, Canteen. It's about teenagers who have cancer and they need to, in some respects, make a wish. Yeah. If they want to go and do an activity, then Canteen will go and support them with it. They have youth camps so that they can hang out together and support each other and all that kind of stuff. Right. Anyways, typically you would get a couple of bucks a week in a box. It's a little bit of loose change, all that sort of thing. So we thought, why don't we give Patty a bit of a go? And in our restaurants, we asked Patty to take the order, and then at the end of the order, would you like to donate $1 to Canteen? And out of the 7 Patty People restaurants that we had in the country at that particular time, they absolutely caned it. On the graph, it is, you've got Patty donations here, and the rest of the country was like right down here. Wow. And it was an incredible thing to witness and to see.
What that reminds me of, Stephen, is so I had read that your mantra is always aiming for awesomeness. And I saw in a picture of your Zwift bike, right, there's a sign that says something around it. Excellence isn't an act, it's a habit.
Yes.
AI is pretty good when it comes to maintaining a habit, like acting for the upsell, right?
Oh, true that. So again, coming from a business owner's perspective, how many teenage team members or managers would suggest to sell at every order or sell up at every order?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So with Patty, what we've done is we've dialed in the script even further, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about that later, about some of the other results we've achieved. But we've been able to increase our sales in the drive-thru without even trying,
right,
with any LTOs or any campaigns or anything like that, by 7%. And we have a between 50-55% acceptance rate of an upsell. So the narrative goes, so Patty's sitting there on a cold winter's day doing his or her thing. The car rocks on up. Patty asks, what would you like? And the customer says, can I have a Whopper? And then immediately Patty will go, is that a meal with large Coke? And the customer goes, yes.
So, Stephen, much of our audience are technology companies, right? So other operators are going to hear this and they're going to be like, whoa. But other technology companies are hearing this too. And I bet they would love to know how you chose Hi Auto in particular amongst the other AI solutions for the drive-thru. Because prior to meeting you, I had heard from another customer of theirs that they lead in the percentage of orders that can be taken through the system, AI, and the accuracy. But what was your selection criterion? How did you go about it?
Oh, it was pretty simple, really. They were identified as the leading player in the market. And although in the beginning we had to go through a learning journey, and my whole mission has been to capture that learning journey so that others are bringing Patty into their world or into their place of work can just dial it in straight away without having to go through those pressure or pain points. But, I mean, we only had to look at the media to sort of understand where the competitors were at. And I also had friends, colleagues around the world who went into particular drive-thrus that were testing AI equivalents or voice AI equivalents, and just it was cringe-worthy. It was just, if anything, you would be losing sales. It's kind of like, why would you bother to go there? You'd either do it, order on the app and go indoors, but if you really needed the convenience of a drive-thru, which in this day and age people just need in their world, you just wouldn't go there because it was just very painful. The latency was incredible.
That's really the trick,
Pregnant
isn't it?
pauses.
It seems to be like the latency, and you even alluded to that earlier. If you're sitting there at the speaker and nothing is happening, ooh, that's bad news. You really need to get, that latency has to be lightning quick. I'm curious though, when you were piloting this, and I'm assuming that you piloted it first across a couple of locations, maybe even a single location. What were some of the challenges that came up where you had to make adjustments?
Well, I guess from a team member perspective.
Well, yeah, it could be from a team member perspective,
Yeah.
or even whether it be a team member perspective or even a customer. Were there any hiccups that you encountered where maybe we need to tweak something here?
Oh, sure. Yeah, most definitely. And again, top tip, never let an IT person determine what a script for an operational deployment is going to be. Our bless his cotton socks, every order is, would you like fries? Would you like a drink? Would you like a dessert? Okay, we got through that. Next order. And drive-through times just blew out. And it's like, dude, what's going on here? So once we recognised that had happened,
The connection.
I got out with pen and paper and went through and started to remodel the script. And it was at that point also that we recognised that it would be really cool to have a Kiwi voice in there. And what we did was I recorded. Leanne, head of marketing here in New Zealand, she recorded, and our cadence, our pitch, etc. for the first round was okay, it was acceptable, but Paddy will only go to the speed that you talk at. So, but they can wind it up, but then it starts sounding like a chipmunk, and you definitely don't want to be served by a chipmunk. So we went back into our little booths here at the office, and away we went. We dialed up our pitch. We used different words, we upped our cadence, and then we've ended up with what we've got now, which is working really well for us. And my voice was used in the night shift to help keep people under control if they've got a bit boisterous, and then Leanne's voice was used during the day. Now what we've gone to is Leanne's in one site, I'm in another site, and we've sort of panned it out around the country like that.
That's wild. So in some ways, that could almost even act as an A/B test where you can literally test out different voices. I'm getting into a little bit into the minutia of the data minutia, but that's kind of what you have access to now. You can now literally measure not only speed of service, but upsells, and you can even attribute that to different aspects of an AI voice. You can try different voices and different accents and see if there's an actual lift in any sort of in an incremental.
Yeah, we were, when May the 4th came around, we were thinking, oh, what if we had Darth Vader in there? What would that be like?
Stephen, we've talked a lot about the benefits you've experienced already as a result of having Paddy in place, but are there any we haven't hit on? Any other operational benefits, efficiencies, results you've seen in the business?
Yeah, I guess one of the obvious questions that has been asked of me is, how much labour are you saving? People have looked at Paddy as a labour-saving device. Now, look, we know that we can save 20, 25 hours a week in team member labour, but that's not the pitch for us. For us, it's about reinvesting that labour back into the restaurant around doing better compliance, spending more time with our guests in the dining room. Kiosks, obviously, is where we're now in the QSR industry, is a big part of our business. So having custodians in the dining room who are talking people through how to use the kiosk and things like that. So we know that if we wanted to save 20, 25 hours a week, we could do it. But that's not the premise for us. We're about improving, enhancing our our guest experience, so that we can make a difference in their visit each time. We've talked to the point of increased sales. We've talked about acceptance rate from an upsell perspective. When we do introduce new products into the business, we have used it as an opportunity to bring that in. Would you like to try? Again, we have what I'm working with at the moment is race mode, which is over the peak periods we have a particular script in play, and then in low volume we have another script in play, so that we can use that to suggest an LTO product or make a difference in the menu on that area. And the other thing around menu is streamlining your digital menu boards. If you're using those, or if you're using POP, going a little old school, then again, just making sure that you're able to swivel your boards so that you can have, in those peak times, a really easy to read menu. And if you're using codes or numbers like, can I have number 16 as a medium with Coke, really helps dial in Paddy's performance, and makes also the order taking process very simple for the customer as well.
Yeah.
That's
a great tip. Before we take a break, I did have one quick question about utilizing an AI. How do you think AI voice and other automation technologies will help? What are we looking forward to in 2025 and beyond with regard to AI? And the other part of that question is, do you think there's any opportunity to bring Paddy inside of the restaurant?
Oh, yeah. You better believe it.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
most definitely.
Wasn't expecting that.
So AI, in your estimation, Stephen, has been clearly, it sounds like it's been a home run, or at least a triple at this point in American baseball terms. But what other AI opportunities do you see in the restaurant?
Well, it just so happens I was on a call yesterday actually discussing this very thing, putting a project together that's going to see Paddy move into more of a coaching framework within the restaurant. So without wanting to give too much away, if you could imagine that the shift manager's running their shift and they've missed out on identifying a bottleneck, then you're wearing your headset, Paddy's just quietly saying in there, hey, look, have identified this, and here's the recommended action.
Wow.
And by the way, Tom needs to go and have a break.
Oh my. Wow. So you literally have Paddy as potentially as a shift coach. As we have executive coaches here in the United States. She's like, she is an executive coach inside the restaurants. Wild. Guys, this is awesome. We got to take a quick break. We're going to hear from CORE, our sponsor, Children of Restaurant Employees. And when we come right back, we're going to hear more from Stephen, and we're going to get his take on Hate to Tell You, But. So we'll be back in 2 shakes. Before we dive back into today's episode, I want to take a moment to tell you about CORE, Children of Restaurant Employees. CORE is a nonprofit that provides financial support to restaurant employees with children when they face life-altering circumstances, such as an illness, injury, or even natural disasters. As leaders in the restaurant technology space, we know the impact we have on the industry, and it's important to support the people who make it run. So a donation to CORE helps take care of the people who are the backbone of this industry. So visit coregives.org to learn how you can make a difference today. Again, that's coregives.org. Thanks, guys. Guys, this is awesome. Stephen, you're a freaking wizard, man.
I love this. It's a success story that rivals most. You're blowing our minds, Stephen, and I'm sure the same for everyone who will be listening. We want to give you this opportunity as well. I mean, I'm sure you've probably got a dozen things, but we have this segment called Hate to Tell You, But, which is your chance to set the record straight on a common misperception in the industry or things you've encountered in your circles. What's the thing people are falsely believing out there and you'd like to set them straight?
Well, great opportunity. Thanks, Chad. The one thing that I've encountered when bringing Paddy into the business and talking with customers in the drive-thru, the first question they ask me is who's lost their job, and I have to set the record straight. No one has lost their job. What we do is we redeploy that labour or that person into another role within the restaurant. So that, again, we're attending to better guest experience either in the dining room, improving our quality attributes in the kitchen, order accuracy, all those kinds of things. So to set the record straight, no one loses their jobs. Paddy is part of the team, and everyone else gets to stay as well. Because Paddy's a team player. That's another point I've got to bring in there.
Yeah, absolutely. That is wild. And I love that you busted that myth, because everybody automatically assumes, they hear the word AI and they think, okay, that's it for us. But that's not the case, because there's always, if there's anything that we've ever learned in this business, in the hospitality business, is that there's always room for improvement. I mean, there never seems to be enough people. There never seems to be enough time to do things. Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about more AI and more AI to come. You mentioned it briefly. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this a little bit more, about bringing Paddy inside of the restaurant. What are your thoughts there? How do you think that's going to work?
Well, I mean, it's early days for us. We're brain dumping, going through discovery sessions and things of that nature to get an understanding of where that will sit in the kitchen framework or in the restaurant framework. There's a couple of things. One is, again, coming back to the drive-thru, you rock on up to the speaker box, the AI camera recognises your number plate and says, "Hey, Chad, would you like the order that you had with us last time?" And Chad goes, "Yes," and then drives on. It's paid for by number plate, and you get around to the order present, you're good to go. So the interaction, again, is, from a serving time has diminished. The personal part of the experience is now at the window present, rather than you still get your greeting and things of that nature, but it's around, you've only got a couple of minutes to go to your next meeting, or you're running late to picking kids up from school, but you still need a little bit of a snack, then that would facilitate that particular situation, and I guess many others as well. So
right.
We've got a camera system in our restaurant. It measures our drive-through speed. It also gives us benefits around CCTV footage. I guess the other attribute, again, I know this technology is out there and there's other companies utilising it, where the camera will pick up on human performance. So if somebody's not wearing their blue gloves in the kitchen, it sends an alert to the shift manager, says, "Hey," or to the district manager,
right,
"This person's not wearing gloves," and then they can go and correct the behaviour or do whatever. And also things like training verification as well. I've taught this person now how to do it. The camera is now going to verify their behaviours and check, and see how they go. So
beautiful.
Lots of applications.
One of the things I've always been, and Chad, maybe the answer to this, people automatically think facial recognition. You kind of alluded to it with that. You drive up and it recognizes your license plate, and maybe it recognizes who you are and what you ordered last, and it suggests that to you. And so personalization is a huge opportunity for the space. But one of the things that has always has been concerning is, do people need to opt into these AI systems? I mean, have you guys given any thought around that? And
yeah, totally. And as I say, we're in the very early days of what that will look like. You've got privacy laws. I know many states in the States would have challenges around that. Here in New Zealand, We've got a service station that does that already, recognises plate ID. You fill up your car, you drive off, your bank account's deducted, away you go. So from an app perspective, you would need to, if you're a member of our app group, our loyalty and royalty program, the thing there is you would opt in to that. I know I would, because again, it's just about being effective, right?
Right.
So we've got cameras around us everywhere. So everyone knows my face. If they want to look at it, if they want to look me up, they know where to find me. There's no challenges around that. So it's, again, just making sure that from a legal standpoint and from a privacy standpoint, that we're ticking the boxes and, again, helping people just feel comfortable with the experience. And if they want to go down that road, they can. If they don't, that's okay as well.
Yeah, it seems like there could also be an opportunity with the app, right? If you have your own proprietary app and you may be able to opt in inside of the app, and when you do go into the store, perhaps it already knows that you've opted in. Or perhaps you even use your phone to unlock Patty, for example. That's
We know that the technological capabilities greatly exceed the general populace's comfort with that level of technology and personalization.
for a certain
But
demographic. I think
the gap will lessen. The gap will keep going down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think it's like most things, isn't it? That if you introduce the technology responsibly, and you've got a framework around it that helps people feel safe with using it, interacting with it, engaging with it, then the uptake becomes a little bit easier. And we've got to also keep in mind that we're moving into a generation now where they're born with phones, they're born with iPads and all these kinds of things. And their adoption, their early adoption of technology, well, it's not a thing, is it? They just do it. It's just part of what they do and how they do it. So I guess in some ways we're preparing for their future to make their worlds a little bit more interesting from a restaurant interaction perspective or guest experience perspective.
Let's do a quick wrap up. Here we have Stephen Brown, the head of Operations Excellence at Burger King New Zealand. Fascinating guy, fascinating story, absolutely a pioneer in this space. We're so lucky to have you on the show. How can people get in touch with you to learn more? I mean, are you open? Are you open to fielding questions and sharing your story further?
Oh, totally. I've have people contact me every other week, which is it's exciting to be part of this journey. Again, people, it's new in the space. They, as we talked about before, there's apprehension around new technology and the adoption of it. Through my LinkedIn is the easiest way, I guess, from that perspective, and then we can take it to Q&A or share some information. Obviously, there's things that we're working on that we're working on. We want to make sure we're getting those right before we share that. But yeah, people can feel free to reach out and
certainly high auto as well is.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
most definitely. So with the high auto or with Patty, there's really key things from a behaviour or from a business change point that they need to listen to high auto and how to implement the technology. That is very important if you want to be successful and if you want to get the success that we've been able to achieve. And we've only just touched on the scratch. We're just getting started. So the exciting thing is that High Auto have been with us every step of the way through cadence of meetings, troubleshooting with us, solving problems as we go around different technology integrations and things like that. They've been an incredible team to work with and have made a real difference in this journey for us. It's been great.
There's another thing I remember from FS Tech. Roy, Daniel, Donna, they just seem unusually dialed in to what they were doing and the mission.
They're an amazing team. Like I've been in this industry pretty much all my life, and I've not seen a supplier group that has been so engaged with their customers to make sure that they are getting what they need out of their particular technology, and they stick with you. They don't just go, "Oh, cool, you've got it. See you later. We're on to the next one." So they're
Imagine
with
that.
you there the whole way, and that is a really unique proposition in this day and age, because I know from personal experience, and even as late as this week, technology companies, they just want to get you in, and then it's see you later, and then you
The sass,
it's
the sassing of the world.
yeah, most definitely. But High Auto, highly recommend them. Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So everybody can find you on LinkedIn. They can find them on LinkedIn. Their website's high.auto.
We'll definitely
And we'd
include all
encourage,
this in the show notes for
yeah.
sure.
And everybody listening, subscribe to the pod, share the episode, especially this one, guys. It's been awesome with Stephen here. He's a font of wisdom, and this has been a great show. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stephen. Really appreciate it, and have a great Friday. Now it's 9 a.m. We love it. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.